As you teach, and especially to young people today, this topic, um, what's the message that you try to bring across, and why should young people study these post World War I events that occurred in a city such as Munich?
Well, I admit when I wrote the book, I did not realize that it would actually become more relevant to American society today and more relevant than I would like it, as when I started to write it. I wrote my introduction to the American edition of the book in January of 2020. And it's in January of 2021, sorry. And that's and that was something I would not think I'd ever see in America, that there would be an insurrection and there would be threats to democracy in different ways, of course, than in Germany of the 1920s, but in ways that remind us of it. And I think if we look at the German history of the 1920s, and if we see how weak German democracy proved in the end of defending itself, we might draw a lesson from that. Democracy in Germany, as in so many other countries where that happened, did not collapse because there were enemies to democracy or there were those who attacked democratic principles, but because the defenders of democracy weren't strong enough. And I would go one step further, because somebody like Hitler and the Nazi Party needed allies to come to power. They, of course, didn't get these allies in the left-wing circles, but they themselves, the Nazi Party, never had more than around 44% even in their already rigged elections in March of 1933. They never had more than like 39% in really totally democratic elections. So they needed others on the conservative side who would help them. And I'm afraid, without naming names here, that's what we see a little bit here. People who think, we can help those who are a threat against democracy because others we hate even more. And in the end, we will be able to, and that was the word used by the conservatives in response to Hitler, we can contain them. We can come back to power. The conservative circles can come back to power by using the extreme right wing, the threats to democracy. And in the end, we will just use them. Of course, the opposite was the case. They were being used. And that's how democracy ended. Not because there was a Hitler and there was Nazis in Germany, but because those who, there were, unfortunately enough, who were not Nazis, who actually despised Hitler, who helped him on his way to power. So that's one of the lessons we can draw. And of course, there are many others with respect to anti-Semitism, with respect to the, unfortunately, we see that today too, with the feeling how accepted a Jewish community is. And suddenly this feeling begins to erode and Jews feel more insecure in society. Again, I'm not drawing parallels saying it's the same. As more important people have said, history doesn't repeat itself, but history rhymes. And if we look at precedents of how democracy was threatened, how anti-Semitism rose, we can learn a lot from this episode in Munich, the very city where Hitler rose to power after World War I.
This has been absolutely fascinating. We can certainly go on and on, but again, a tremendous book in Hitler's Munich, Jews, the Revolution, and the Rise of Nazism. It's really a very readable page turner, and urge all our listeners and viewers to take a look at it and read it. There's a lot to be learned from it. Professor Brenner, again, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you.